TheFreeRotation podcast.
Hello there. Welcome to another edition of the Free Rotation podcast, True Crime Edition. I need Law and Order music, actually. Dun dun.
Dun 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 dun.
And today we are talking about one of the biggest news stories that are.
Executive producer Dick Wolf.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was like, wait. My brain caught up. We're talking about one of the biggest news stories purveying the national news, crime spree stuff.
Words.
Gabby Petito. And I'm joined today with my co-host, Chris.
Hola.
And my other very, very special co-host, Angie.
Bonjour.
Apparently, it's also international news. Bobby's off doing something, so Bobby's not here.
Bobby's playing a 1K, right?
He's playing, yeah, there's a sealed Magic the Gathering 1K.
He's going to bring money home to the podcast.
No.
No. No. Matter of fact, I think we'd go into debt if we had to rely on Bobby to play Magic. Sorry, Bobby, if you're listening to this. But yeah, so today we are talking about Gabby Petito. Now, this episode is being recorded. I'm going to put the date. It's like October 2nd. Just because as things come out, this episode most likely will be outdated by the time anything's figured out. So when this is released, if there is new updates, future me, add the new future stuff at the very end of this podcast. So don't leave, if you don't hear anything that's updated by the time you hear this. But yeah, so Gabby Petito, if you're living under a rock at this point, was a 22-year-old woman who had gone missing on August 30th, 2021. Now, they're thinking she probably went missing a little bit before that, but confirmation of her being missing is around August 30th. And what makes this story sort of a unique, kind of hit the national headlines, is that she was on a van life trip across the U.S. with her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie. And that was being documented through her YouTube channel, Nomadic Static, and along with their Instagram. So it was a social influencer who was actually documenting her trip that went missing and ultimately met her demise during this trip. Well, as some background information, she was from Blue Point, New York, where she had met Laundrie while they were attending high school in Long Island. Two had began dating in March 2019, and they had moved in together with Laundrie's parents in North Point, Florida, which is kind of important to remember down the line as the story is occurring. They had gotten engaged in July of 2020 and had departed on July 2nd, 2021 from Blue Point in a 2012 Ford Transit Connect van converted into a camper for the cross-country trip that was scheduled to last for 4 months. On August 12, 2021, law enforcement was contacted via 911 by a witness who claimed that a couple, who were later identified as Laundrie and Petito, had been fighting in front of what was called the Moonflower Co-op. And that was in Utah. And during the call, the witness had stated that Laundrie had slapped Petito and the two had been running up and down the sidewalk, after which Laundrie had hit her again, and then they had driven off. A witness had stated further that they were talking aggressively, and Petito had been punching him in the arm, and that it looked like Laundrie was trying to leave and take her phone. And basically what ended up happening is she ended up getting in the car with him and driving away. So that initiates this traffic stop where they interact with these two, and it turns out that she basically says, like, I got upset. There was some aggressive stuff going on, but nothing really related to domestic violence.
Well, and it's important that we stop here and focus on her demeanor and what she said, because it was very, very typical of abused women.
Yes.
Like, it's my fault. Please don't make him angrier.
Right.
I did it. She was like, I distracted him. I shouldn't have been doing that.
Right. They go on to talk about that, yes, he had hit her. She was saying that I had gotten him upset. This was this was just something going between the two of us. It wasn't an incident. We don't want to press charges. And what's sort of sad about this entire thing is at the end of it, they put him up in a hotel and leave her in the van to sort of keep each other apart for that night.
They take his side. She obviously abused you, sir.
And actually, that whole incident's under investigation with the Utah police.
It should be, because they completely failed her. She's crying visibly, like incredibly upset. He's laughing, joking, and oh, she hit you, sir. Are you okay?
Yeah. I mean,
we're going to separate y'all.
He keeps going. He does confirm that, yes, there was an incident between the two of them, but they don't want to press charges. You know, it was just a misunderstanding. Everything's fine. And it's sort of sad because the body cam footage does show that they are very much biased against her regarding what had occurred. They're, you know, a lot of times with stuff like this, I can understand it and then I don't understand it at the same time. You have an incident where people are reporting that there is some violence going on, but instead of addressing it appropriately, I mean, I get it. You separate the two of them, but incidentally, nothing happens. And no, like, warning sign is going off, anything like that anything may be wrong. I mean, if you've ever seen a woman who's in a domestic violence situation, they are always going to try to negate what occurred and play it down.
She's crying so hard she can barely breathe.
Right.
Like, she is visibly upset.
So I watched a lot of that. I watched all the bloody footage. My problem isn't, I just don't know what we can expect. Like, what is actually expected of the cops right there if she's admitting...
Take an incident report.
No, I get that. But if she's admitting that she hit him, but it wasn't to injure him, they separate them. I think that's all they can do.
No, they can take incident reports out. As somebody who works in law enforcement, it is very common in those domestic violence situations, law enforcement reports are taken out on both people because it needs to be addressed.
I'm not saying there shouldn't have written up a report, but I mean, beyond that, they're not arresting anybody. They separated them. I don't know what they're supposed to do beyond that.
I disagree with that just because of how we see it today, especially inundated with this whole month actually is some domestic violence awareness. A lot of law enforcement in our area, they will make referrals for places like Promise Place, places that are like domestic violence shelters, at least make that effort. Yeah. Like at the end of the day, yeah, they can't do much more. But at the same time, playing down what's occurring, you should recognize something's going on.
Well, I think that someone else made the 911 call is indicative that, hey, there's a big problem here. This guy is hitting this girl repeatedly.
Well, and that's sort of my thing is like what we always inevitably end up seeing is the woman I won't say woman, the individual who is generally the abused is always going to play it down because they know if they stay, it's going to be bad for them if it gets exacerbated. But when you have other witnesses calling, I mean, 9 out of 10 times we have this happen where we have somebody who is in a situation that they are being abused and they'll call our office and say, hey, we don't want to press charges. It's like you are just putting yourself in a circumstance where you're going to end up either dead or very injured.
But what do you do? Like, what can you do if that happens? If they say I'm not pressing charges, I know
we can still press charges.
I know the state here can.
You can. I mean, here's the thing.
But I don't know. Again, I don't know the rules out there. I don't know if they're allowed to press charges without the abused person.
Or maybe with both of them saying everything's fine, and she was very clear with them. You know, I'm a podcaster, do YouTube videos, I upload on TikTok.
Like, I wonder if their hands were sort of tied to escalate.
I mean, here
or maybe they felt like they were doing them a favor.
Well, I will say, like, even in the police report, the law enforcement officer in his report says at no point was she not crying, that she could formulate full sentences, all of the stuff. My thing is, we've had cases like that a lot in our office where people are like, we're not pressing charges. We still are going. Like, we don't need you to testify. No. Like, we have your pictures.
No, I understand that, but I don't know, like, where they were, because they were in Utah at this point.
They're in Utah.
I don't know if the rules in Utah allow the state to press without her being there to press charges.
I mean,
some places don't.
Well, I was about to say, if it depends on their evidence.
And they only
laws.
asked him, does he want to press charges?
Yeah.
But, well, she admitted that she hit him.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, without actual evidence, what can the cops do? That's my main question is, like, what can they do to escalate or...
I think that's a question that gets asked a lot, especially in domestic violence situations. But the immediate answer we get, especially like from my part of the job, is that there are things law enforcement could have done. Hey, you separated them. Hey, you could have referred them to a domestic violence shelter. Don't just leave. Don't not put an incident. Or they have reports that are incident reports, but not arrest reports. They're just called informational reports. Make that report because something like what ends up happening down the line is stuff that needs to be reported on anyways. The only reason why I think they really even brought up these reports to begin with is because of her going missing in the first place.
Well, and the fact that the morning of when they think the incident happened, they were at the breakfast bar, and he starts in on her, and then he goes in on the waitress. And when they made the call, the restaurant makes the call, like, hey, we have a disturbance. At that point, if there was a record on file, they would have been like, oh, there's a history here.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows?
I mean, it is right. I mean, here, the question is, like, hindsight is 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, there's just, this is such a common occurrence in this day and age. Like, you really can't downplay any of it without specifying why you're doing it.
No, I'm not saying the cops are right or wrong. I'm generally curious as to how could they have escalated more so based on the information they had. I don't think there were, like, dereliction of duty there. I think it's a bad situation, and they got kind of in the middle of it.
Yeah, well, she had told the officer when they had been arguing over was her excessive cleaning of the van, telling her that some days I have bad OCD, and I was just cleaning and straightening up, and I was apologizing to him, saying that I'm so mean because sometimes I have OCD and get frustrated. Like, that makes no sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like, to me, that's like, so you're apologizing for something that you just can't help doing. Like, it's just, it reads bad all the way around.
You're apologizing for cleaning a van.
Right.
Like,
Even
she could have been yelling about it. Like, I can see both sides of this, none of which leads to murder.
No,
right.
Like, we still haven't got anywhere near what needs to be murder.
Yeah.
I was about to say, and here's the thing. Petito's dad basically said, hey, she doesn't actually have OCD. It's just like,
she wants things to be
she's
clean.
anal
Yeah.
about cleanliness.
Yeah.
right.
I can imagine his shit was everywhere. And she was like, can you ever just pick up your goddamn dirty underwear? We have to sleep here in this small enclosed area.
Well, the Moab City Police Department, where this occurred, has announced that they are investigating it. And like I said, hindsight thing, it may be 2020. Probably nothing will happen with the officers because it wasn't a huge dereliction of your duties.
And
but
I think they have to. I think the city then has to be like, we're going to
Right.
look into this,
Internal
make sure
Affairs
they
has
Yeah.
to investigate.
we're going to make sure they did everything that they should have done.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of times what ends up happening in circumstances like this where it's not an egregious, like, dereliction of your duties, they end up having trainings, basically. Like, if you see this, what to do in the future sort of thing. Because, I mean, until it happens, most people don't even know what to do.
Well, and if we look at it this way, domestic abuse and violence is a two-way street. So if they had really only focused on her, they would have been a dereliction of duty because they didn't ask him.
Right.
And she is admitting, hey, I hit him.
Yeah, I think that's what screwed this whole thing up is when she said she's the one that was hitting him.
And instigated the fight.
Yeah. I think at that point, their duty is to protect him. If she's even admitting that at all. Like,
Yeah.
I think their hands are kind of tied.
I just know most people here just arrest both of them and call it a day. They're just like, hey.
Yeah, that's why they take both.
Yeah.
You both.
We'll figure it out later.
We'll
Yeah,
figure it
takes two
out
to
later.
fight. Let's go.
Yep, you both were fighting. Unless you can prove self-defense, hey, you shouldn't be fighting. So what ends up happening is on August 24th, according to staff, Petito had been staying at what was the Fairfield Inn and Suites near Salt Lake City National Airport. Petito's mom had stated that the pair were traveling from Salt Lake City to Yellowstone National Park and had last contact with her daughter via FaceTime on August 24th. This is the last time she confirms she knows that this is her daughter. At the time, she had stated that they were going to Grand Teton National. I'm going to say Grand Teton if I say it wrong. Teton. Grand Teton.
Titties.
Grand titties.
That's really what it means.
Oh, shit.
Oh.
Big titties.
That's amazing.
Grand Tetons.
Oh.
Oh, my God.
Well, that's in Wyoming, if anybody ever wants to visit it.
I want to go see the grand titties.
On August 25th, the final post from Petito's Instagram account shows photos in front of a butterfly mural outside of Ogden, Utah. It's outside of a restaurant. Petito's mother had stated that she had received text messages from Petito's phone until August 30th. But there were concerns that those texts were not coming from her because one referenced, I have a bunch of missed calls from Stan. Can you find out what's going on? Stan is Petito's grandfather. And the mother basically said, hey, she has never referred to him by his first name. That's a little strange.
Unusual, yeah.
So my thought process with that was, it's very possible if I was to be a devil's advocate, I think it's weird anyways, but to be devil's advocate is maybe nothing had happened at that point and he was just texting from her phone letting them know while maybe she was driving, which is certainly possible, but it's a little strange.
Yeah. Especially considering they can't find her phone.
Right. And so that was on August 27th. On August 30th, the mother receives a text message from Petito again that basically states that there's no service in Yosemite. And investigators at that point had, once they started investigating, I believe she gone missing between August 27th and August 30th. So the timeline kind of lines up, but at the same time, it's very possible she was missing by that point.
Yep.
A witness statement from August 27th, and now you had talked about this a little bit, is that on August 27th, she had seen Laundrie and Petito together at Mary Piglet's, which is a Tex-Mex restaurant out of Jackson Hole. I love the name Jackson Hole. It just amuses the shit out of me. At the time, Laundrie and Petito were eating, and Laundrie had an argument with the manager, waitress, and hostess about money. All three of them were women. That was noted in the report. I don't know if necessarily that had anything to do with it, but that was the big thing.
It's probably a pattern that he's friendly, like good guy with men, abusive to women.
Yeah, he may not have been as aggressive towards the cops when they showed up.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because they'll just beat the shit out of you.
Yeah. I was about to say, like,
Yeah.
everything's good, bro. Gotta
Again,
go out.
Gabby
He wasn't
was,
a very big guy.
no, and
No.
Gabby was small.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, basically, later after they leave, Petito comes back and apologizes for his behavior and crying and all of that. And at first, this was just a witness statement, but the restaurant did confirm that they had been eating there the day this incident had occurred. So that was another confirmation that, hey, things aren't going very well.
And honestly, if you think about it, if he found out she did that, that could be what set him off. You went back and fucking apologized for my behavior?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't take my side?
There were several other witness statements throughout this time period of the 27th through the 30th, where they had observed a white van in the Spread Creek dispersed camping area of Bridger-Teton National Forest. One witness reported to the FBI the exact coordinates of a white van and a man acting really weird near the area on August 26th to August 28th. According to that video actually was on TikTok. Somebody had, everything's on social media this day and age. The woman was actually recording it on TikTok and was like, hey, this is real weird. Look at this dude being weird. Mm-hmm. But she also, according to her, basically said this was the tip that led them to Gabby's body.
Well, that also, it was another couple. They were filming as they had GoPros on while they were driving to a really obscure location. And they came across the van, and it was dark, shuttered. Nobody was out, which they were going to stop and say hi because they noticed they were from the same state.
Right.
But she said, there's nobody here, so we didn't stop. So when she saw it all later, she was like, oh, my God, we saw that van. We know where her body is.
Yeah.
So this lady maybe put him in the area. These people identified where he did it.
Right. So they had,
think about how unusual that, just the right places. Otherwise, we would have never found her.
Well, I was about to say, what's coincidental about that, too, is those people actually had a YouTube channel. So they were traveling, and they're like, hey, check it out. This is a van with Florida license plate, just like ours. And isn't that so
Should
weird?
we stop and say hi and offer? But no, it was dark, closed off, nobody around. So they're like, maybe they're sleeping. We don't know. We don't know what they're doing. Maybe they're hiking. That's what they thought. Even though it was a really weird place to set out and hike.
Oh, yeah. It was just like, it to me, it's just such a weird coincidence that all of these people involved are all social media people. Like, you have her who's a YouTube influencer.
Yeah. A TikToker.
You have a TikToker. You have a YouTuber. And they're all just in this area.
It sounds weird, but I mean, isn't everybody basically now social media? I mean, we have a podcast. I have a TikTok.
Yeah.
My wife has a TikTok.
I was going to say, though, you don't see, 87-year-old, Granddad Jones being like,
he probably thought where he pulled over, nobody would ever, because it was really out of the way. They just happened to that day
be there.
Well, otherwise, they would have never been able to pinpoint him.
Well, and I was about to say, a lot of, really big right now is these camp life, van life. Let's go to these different national forests and show off, I mean, there are huge TikTok videos now of people walking on the Appalachian Trail. That's a big follow. So
especially my wife wants us to get a bus and turn it into an RV, and I am out on that whole prospect.
Yeah.
They make RVs that are nice. Let's do that instead.
Yeah.
I was about to say, I mean, from what I've read, I've not related to this story, but a lot of the people who talk about their quote unquote van life and all that, it sucks. It's not it's nice for the Instagram picture of look at my pretty bus that I've refurbished and look at my little mini home I live in. But in actuality, you're living on a refurbished bus.
You're living like homeless people live in a car.
Yeah. So, I mean, good on the people who can do it. I've always been I would love to just go anywhere and live out in the woods. And then I'm but I like Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I really only like
toilets.
to watch the guy who found the cat on a ledge in the Grand Canyon. He's like, how the fuck did you even get here? And he takes the cat grew up.
Oh yeah.
And he takes him everywhere now. I like to watch them.
Oh yeah. I like the guy who bikes with his cat and him and
That's the guy.
Is it the guy? Okay. Yeah, him and his little cat, they go on adventures together. I think that's real cute.
I like watching that one.
As an avid camper, believe me, I don't want to live in a car.
No.
I don't mind sleeping in tents for a couple days a week. Eventually, I want to go home to a bed and air conditioning and a kitchen and a bathroom.
And a shower.
Yeah, and a shower.
Yeah.
And
if you've never truly been dirty, you just can't understand the itchy.
Spend a week outside.
Yeah.
Just a week.
It does not feel pleasant.
Yeah, and the ground is really hard, and it's nothing like a nice, fluffy Tempur-Pedic bed.
Becky camped one night.
I know. I've seen things. I can totally relate now, guys.
Becky
okay?
slept through the bear going through the tent.
I was very tired, and listen, I had finally figured out my yoga pose to get away from that tree branch. So I was sleeping fine, and my face was pushed up against the tent, so it was a comforting placenta
you
at
slept
that
fine
point.
because I let you use me as a pillow. I gave you all the blanket.
I know. Well,
and my t-shirt because
that's love, and really sacrifices sometimes have to be
then
made.
I was
You do enough camping, you learn how to sleep fine no matter what.
yeah.
I think we would have been fine if we had the sleep pad.
Well, if we hadn't slid down the mountain.
That also.
Chris was like, "Hey, that's crooked. You might want to fix that. Now we'll be fine."
Yeah.
Having camped before, tried to warn them that slipping in your sleep is not fun.
No,
Yeah,
gravity
can
is a
confirm.
thing. Can
Because you will
confirm.
hit every rock and stump on the way.
I mean, I'm totally down to go glamping.
Yeah.
We can rent the nice tents
Or the tiny cabin.
or the tiny cabin. Why are you looking at me like that?
Because you just get a hotel room at that point.
But you're not in the woods.
Go get a yurt.
Yes.
I kind of want to do the yurt thing too. That'd be fun.
Jesus Christ.
I found tree houses, by the way, that we can
I
rent.
know, I've seen them.
They're luxury tree houses. That shit is expensive though.
There's a whole village in the trees.
I found a badass camper yesterday that came across my thing that you can rent for daily rates.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like,
yeah. Let's do this.
let's do a trip.
Or you can refurbish a bus like Casey wants to do.
Yeah, I'm out. You know what? They have
Does she want
refurbished
an
bus.
old VW bug too?
No, I mean she does, but
Yeah.
I'm not doing any of that. That seems like a nightmare. And every time, look at my 1x2.5 foot shower I built. I'm like, yeah, I'll get a hotel room.
Yeah. I mean, okay, going back to all of this, the point of it is it's interesting to watch people do it and you're like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." But then you do it and you're like, "Wait, this kind of sucks actually."
I don't think it would be bad if you were by yourself.
Yeah.
But with two people, it's a lot.
That's too much time together too.
And there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And it's not like you're
no entertainment other than each other. So if you don't like each other,
especially you already have a jackass treating you like shit,
Yep.
it's probably not the best idea.
Well, so we used to me and my friends used to go to Vegas about 4 times a year. We'd leave from Middle Georgia and go to Vegas. Well, 2 of those trips, me and one of my really good friends would drive. We would drive from my house to the casino in Vegas nonstop, 32 hours. Some of the other guys that we went with wanted to make that trip with us, and we flat out told them no. Because
That's a lot of time together.
it is. And you have to be really cool with each other and really on pretty good terms.
Yeah.
To make 32 hours in a car doable one way.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, I'll be honest, there were a couple guys that wanted to drive with us, and I was like, dude, I promise you will not make it past Little Rock, Arkansas before you're thumbing it towards Vegas. Or
Yeah.
buying a plane ticket. 'Cause
Yeah.
I can't be in a car with you for 16 hours.
Mm-hmm.
It just can't happen.
Oh yeah, I started just wanting to drive myself everywhere. I don't mind riding with other people, but at some point it's at least I can take my time and not be at the mercy of other people.
Well, that and me and the guy I would drive with we had the same mentality about it. It's a trip A to B, and you're going to get to see some cool shit, but we're literally not stopping.
Yeah.
If you have to use the bathroom, I hope you do it at a gas station, because otherwise you're hanging it out the window.
Listen,
Yeah.
my mother's policy for any trip is go to the bathroom now because you're never peeing again until you get back, we get there. So I learned that from a young age.
So traveling, all this is just traveling with someone for extended periods of time is hard.
Yeah.
And it was literally 32 hours. When we got to Vegas, we're out of the car. We don't touch the car again for a week.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine once you have entertainment at that point.
Yes.
So going back to the story of Gabby Petito, another witness had also claimed that on August 29th, this is just all this is just weird. On August 29th, she and her boyfriend had given a ride to Laundrie from the area of Coulter Bay Village after seeing him hitchhike. The witness claimed that when Laundrie had found out they were going to Jackson Hole and not Jackson, he had freaked out and requested to be let out near Jackson Lake Dam. The witness had claimed she thought it was weird because he offered her $200 for a 10-mile drive and did not appear dirty, even though he was I've been camping this entire time. And then literally 30 minutes later, another witness encountered him and took him to the entrance of Spread Creek dispersed camping area. And he had offered gas money, but did not want to be taken any further than the entrance, which was like several miles away from the actual campsite.
2.5 miles from the campsite.
Yeah.
He just wanted to be dropped off at the entrance.
Yeah, and apparently, according to her, she said that he just appeared antsy as they got closer and just wanted to get out of the car as soon as possible. So we got this dude just acting all kinds of weird. And these people are like, there's enough witnesses to be like, okay, this guy is like real strange. And the thing is, at the same time, it's like he has a van. So why is he hitchhiking anywhere in that area to begin with? Was he trying to leave? Did he think maybe I'll just leave this here and get away? And then he changed his mind. Maybe that was it. But there's just a lot of unanswered questions as to what was going on in this time period. So 2 days later, which to me, this is like also crazy. He returns home to his parents in North Point, Florida. He was in Wyoming. So that means he probably drove what? 2 days, like literally a day and a half straight back to his home in Florida.
From Florida, from Wyoming?
Yeah.
2 days? I mean, it's got to be 42 hours.
Yeah, so
from Central Georgia to Las Vegas is 32 one way, nonstop. 32 hours. It's got to be 40, 42.
Yeah, so that means if the last point of contact they had with this guy was August 29th, August 30th, and he gets home by September 1st, he literally drove like straight 2 days. And and it wasn't like he flew back. He drove back with the van that they had left in without her. So he returns in the white van that they had been traveling in, and he was alone. During that time period, about the 6th and the 7th, he then goes camping in Fort DeSoto Park in Pinellas, Florida. And that's basically like, what I think, 4 or 5 days after he returns.
Yeah, and it's also weird because it's off season. It's flooded. It's also gator and snake season there. Nobody camps there at this time of year.
And nobody has contacted Petito's family at any point in time to say, hey, she's nowhere with us.
Which is why you start thinking his parents fucking knew and they're culpable.
Yeah.
They probably told him you need to go.
Yeah. I was thinking, theorizing about what happened is maybe he was going to hitchhike away and leave. Maybe at that point, then he decided to call his parents, and his parents like, no, just come home and we'll handle it when we get here. So, because think about it. He returns back. Gabby lives with them.
Yeah.
So
where is she?
Where is she? If anybody is questioning that who is not involved in it, why are you not questioning
and
about
even
her?
To this point,
where he is?
Now that she's been found and everything, they still won't answer any questions.
Yeah.
They only ask, "Where's our son?"
Yeah. So September 11th, Petito's mother finally contacts law enforcement and makes a missing person's report about her disappearance.
That's right, because they've been calling his family like, "Hey, where's Gabby?"
Yeah.
No answers.
For 10 days.
Yeah. 10 straight days of no answer. So a search warrant was also issued for an external hard drive that was found. At this point, there's no information about what was found on that hard drive. On September 15th, Laundrie is named as a person of interest. Not a suspect, but a person of interest. Because there's just nothing at this point to really link him to what's going on.
So the YouTubers are like, "Oh my God.
Right.
That's the van."
But none of the family refused to speak to police or Petito's family, and has hired a lawyer who has advised them to remain silent. I get it. I work in the law enforcement field. You have that. That is always a right you have. At any point in time, you don't have to speak to police and all that stuff. But for the fact that his entire family refuses to speak to anybody, won't say anything, I mean, I get it. Like, you have a innocent until proven guilty, but you're making yourself look real guilty at this point. Like, what are you hiding? It blows my mind. Like, I get it. This is their son. But at the same time, at what point do you think to yourself, this is also somebody's daughter that's gone missing?
So, I was thinking about this a lot, and I really think the lawyer told them not to say anything or you will implicate yourself in a felony. And again, I can't imagine a parent not trying to help out another parent.
Yeah.
Short of you're going to go to jail for the rest of your life if you say a word.
Yeah.
So, again, they may want to say stuff, and they may not. Their lawyer may have been like, you will go to jail if you utter a word.
Well, and the thing that kills me is it's like, your son comes home September 1st without his girlfriend or his fiance. Y'all live together. They were in this van. They're supposed to travel for 4 months. At what point, like, if you're going to be implicated in a felony, at what point do you think to yourself, maybe instead I need to just report what's happened to the police? That way I'm not implicated.
Yeah, but you don't know what he told them and how willing they were to suspend belief for their son.
And that's
he might have been like, "Gabby disappeared. I don't know where she is."
she left me. She broke up with me. She said, don't call, don't bother her.
I think something happened to her. I'm going to get blamed.
Yeah, you don't know what he told.
I mean, but at that point...
Also, they know they're
implicated.
Because they didn't call and report her missing. They didn't answer his family's phone call.
Well, and that to me is, it's like, at what point do you call them and say, hey, he's saying that she broke up with him and left him?
Their first call may have been to the lawyer.
Yeah.
He may have told them, don't say a word to anybody.
Don't answer any phone calls.
If you do, you will go to jail.
I mean...
And then they just sit there quietly because that's their only option.
So fast forward to September 17th. Laundrie has now gone missing and has been missing for 3 days. Now, his family has called in at this point and said, hey, he's been gone for 3 days. We don't know where he's at.
I think that's how they unimplicate themselves.
Yeah. They're like, I don't know where he went. Laundrie was reported by his parents as a missing person, and based on his possible whereabouts, the search was conducted in the 25,000-acre Carlton Reserve outside of North Point, Florida. So, and there's a lot of theories right now. This is theoretical, that the reason why they were out at the camping area was to try and find him a place to hide. So there's a lot of going back and forth about, like, why were they camping? He's now suddenly gone missing.
Didn't it turn out he was just an hour down the road in a motel?
No, they haven't found him.
They haven't. They don't know if that's true or not. They do know the parents towed his car back from that state park.
Yeah. 3
days after he went missing, they went down there and picked up his car.
So at this point, nobody has heard what happened to Gabby. But on September 19th, human remains, after all of these tips finally come in, were found near the Spread Creek dispersed camping area of Bridger-Teton National Forest in the national park that they were located at. The remains did match Petito's description, and the initial autopsy is confirming that it was homicide. Nothing has been released as to exactly how she ended up dying, but at this point, the FBI is confirming that, hey, she was murdered. So on September 20th, the FBI does carry out a search warrant in Laundrie's home, declaring it a crime scene. Authorities towed the family's Ford Mustang from the driveway of the home, and the Sarasota County Sheriff's Underwater Recovery Force has called in on September 22nd to assist in searching the Carlton Reserve.
Right, because they think this is where the phone went. Other stuff that could implicate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And on September 23rd, this made me happy because initially the FBI really couldn't get as involved in the case because of the fact that it happens in Wyoming so it's a state crime. But what they end up doing is that the FBI now announces that the U.S. District Court of Wyoming has issued a federal arrest warrant for Brian Christopher Laundrie in pursuant to a federal grand jury indictment relating to his activities following the death of Gabrielle Petito, officially declaring the search a manhunt because he had used a credit card belonging to somebody that they have not identified in the indictment with the intent to defraud. And the indictment states that he had used about $1,000.
That's probably hers.
Yeah.
Smart money says hers.
Yeah, $1,000 or more between August 30th and September 1st. And yeah.
Probably getting gas.
Gas,
that's a lot.
and booking.
Yeah. Yep. And then the FBI had later returned to his home looking for material to match Laundrie's DNA.
You know what I think is interesting about this is also the Reddit and TikTok community is on the case.
Oh, yeah.
Heavy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They don't play.
And, like, there's been a lot of, like, looking at her videos and finding, like, was she asking for help here? Like, is this code, like, help me? I mean, some of it, you're like, that's a stretch. But some people have really in-depth gone into detail.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Well, I was about to say, I decided when I was...
That's how they found him at the motel.
Well,
TikTokers.
I was going to say, when I was researching it, they have general discussions on Reddit all the time. And it was, like, on and on about how the FBI had gone in with they brought a paper bag, and then they came out with a cooler in the house. And what if this entire time he had been in the van in the house, nobody had checked the van or some shit like that?
Yeah. Well, and all the people outside of their house saying, where's Gabby? And now it's like, where's Brian?
Yeah. Well, you know, one of the protesters got in a fight with one of the neighbors who got arrested because the neighbors were basically like, get off my lawn, motherfucker. You're in my lawn.
Yeah. Hey, go trample their yard.
Yeah, we're still trying to live our life.
Yeah. But it's gotten to a point of like a fervor almost about finding out what happened to her.
Well, because she was very nice, very popular.
Well, here's the thing. They know what happened to her.
Yeah.
They haven't released what happened to her.
Yeah.
And that may be because they need whatever evidence when they find him, or he may trip up and say something stupid
like
about
fingerprint,
how she died.
like
yeah,
your fingerprints match your neck.
Something like that.
And my favorite part about all this is now Dog the Bounty Hunter is involved.
Yeah.
And that he's alive somewhere and he's close to finding him.
We gonna find you.
Oh, yeah.
So here's what I'll tell you. We went camping over Labor Day in Florida at a place called Tate's Hell State Park. It is between, say, Panama City and Tallahassee. And there is, and when I say nothing down there, I mean nothing. It is 4,800 square miles of thick Florida growth. In acreage, it's about 3 million acres. There, if you wanted to disappear and go hide, and if you had the ability to camp like that and like literally rough it, that is where you go.
Yeah.
It is hot, it is desolate, and it is 20 yards into the woods. You cannot see anything past that.
Yeah.
Everything is thick, tall, those yucca, like the spiny sawgrass plants, and trees. And where we camped, there were 3 campgrounds that were in this little cut inland by a river. If you were 50 yards past where it was cut out, you wouldn't have known what was back there. Mm-hmm. We saw a panther while we were down there. Just a black panther walking kind of along one of the roads. Mm-hmm. Went into the brush and was gone. I mean, gone. Impossible to find. If he's smart enough and resourceful enough to camp out, he can stay out there for
I can imagine if he's close to campsites, too, and they're out hiking, I'm going to go take some food.
Yeah.
Like, there's tons of ways just to make it.
But, I mean, you can drive out there on the roads the main road through there is paved, but everything else is just gravel.
Yeah.
But there are hundreds of miles of just gravel roads through there where you can go. There's YouTube videos of guys just cruising, like, Florida National Parks dirt roads. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to go ride for 8 hours in this one park and never cross the same road twice. And, I mean, I don't know how you search that.
Yeah.
If someone's in there and wants to be in there, I don't know how you get them out. I don't know how you find them to get them out.
I mean, and the resources that go into finding somebody, it's a lot of money.
And
it's
that's
not like
why people are so angry at his family for letting him go. You know he did something to her.
Yeah,
just let him go.
And this isn't like, it's not like the Appalachian Trail or the woods in the winter where everything gets sparse and desolate and you can kind of see a little bit better. Mm-hmm. I don't think any of this stuff dies.
No,
and it's permagreen.
Yeah. Well, I was about to say,
and there's so much stuff he can eat.
And you can live out there even during the wintertime. Like I mean, if you're in the Appalachian Trails, I know people hike through it, but a lot of times people who are used to civilization are going to come right out and be like, can't do it much longer.
Eric Robert Rudolph did it for 2 years and he still had to come into town to get food.
Yeah.
And that was someone that was really trying to hide. But in Appalachia, it's different. Come winter and cold.
Oh yeah.
I don't think Florida gets, especially like that area gets that cold.
Well, I was about to say,
it never dies.
Yeah, you just manage it through the time in the wintertime and figure out what you're going to do until you. And I mean, when I hate to say this, but when people's interests in the case start to die down, you're going to be able to maneuver a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But what this has done is brought a lot of attention to other missing persons cases. Yep. I think that they said that they had found another individual who had gone missing sort of in the same area of where Gabby was. They found his remains who had been missing for a while. Mm-hmm. And during their investigation. And it's brought attention to a lot of these missing persons cases throughout the United States and how many people are just missing that just nobody knows how to find them.
Well, and they're saying that more attention is given to Gabby because she was a YouTube, influencer, but the point, that's not what happened. It's because there was somebody who was able to pinpoint the van. He can't be very far from here.
Yeah.
Like she's going to be in this area.
In her case. It's not like somebody left their house, was never seen again.
Well, I was about to say
he showed up without her,
or like went on a hike
van.
And got off the trail.
Yeah.
So these people literally he was exactly here.
And he made it back to Florida.
Right. And they're on GoPro. You can clearly see they're, out.
I was about to say, that's what I think is so unique about this case is, and I think that's why it's such a case that's being followed, is the uniqueness of what happened. Mm-hmm. Hey, you can pinpoint this guy did exactly this.
Clearly see the license plate. It is you.
Yeah, we know you did something. You're just not saying anything in your family.
You should have muddied up your tag. What are you?
Oh, I know.
We have you on body cam from the officers. We have you.
You should have gone missing before you came back to Florida.
Yep.
You should have been like, peace out. I'm missing too. You can't find me.
But like Chris said, he didn't want to stay up there because you can't live off the land.
No, you can't. You got to come back down.
But you come to Florida. And I can, like you said, I can hear his parents come home. We'll figure it out.
Well, you don't know. And he may have called the lawyer on the way down here. Like, you don't know what he did. Or, Again,
he probably called from Gabby's phone.
The lawyer may have been contacting the parents before he made it back and gave them a rundown of a version that Brian gave the lawyer. Like, you just don't know.
Yeah. It's just crazy because, and I think it's also, helped bring back a lot of these, missing person cases that have kind of died, the interest has died out in trying to find him. But it's these cases that sort of bring those cases back to light. I know that there was a lot of people who were also really upset about the fact that, once again, it's like white woman syndrome. Hey, a white woman has gone missing. Now this is national news. Whereas we have I think they said they have several hundred indigenous people in Wyoming that have gone missing and nobody gives a shit about. But I think these cases are the ones that bring back those conversations. I hate to say this, but for her disappearance, you don't have those conversations. There's not really a chamber for you to get up on your platform and say all of that. So I get it. At the same time, these people need just as much attention as she's getting. But at the same time, you're able to have those conversations because of what happened to her. So I will be curious to see what happens. I kind of hope Dog is the one that finds him. I think it'd be funny.
It's like in Canada, they're now up to 6,500 mass graves found for the kids. You don't hear about it anymore.
Nope. It's the news cycle.
Oh, they found more dead kids.
Yeah, we heard about it. It was atrocious. Well,
it's not only that. It's the way we're not, as human beings, we're not wired. We can focus on one death pretty easily. Mm-hmm. When there's a giant mudslide in Honduras and they say 34,000 people died, you feel differently about it. And it's because your brain isn't set up to process that level of calamity.
Well, and it's just numbers. It's not a person. It's just, 34,000 people died.
A lot of people felt like they knew Gabby through her videos. Yeah. She shared everything. She shared the proposal, everything.
It's just a different...
It's like, I know her.
And I just think it's how we're wired. We just can't handle a giant earthquake in Indonesia kills 200,000. You're like, that sucks. I'm glad I'm not in Indonesia.
I can't even imagine, how do you cause the death of that many kids?
Yeah.
It's just...
Well, just think about the tornadoes that came through here. It was a small blip on the news for a second, but look how long that has sort of
still
stayed.
Recovering here.
I mean, there are still trees down. The city's
it's still houses and tarp.
Yeah.
So it's just the way it is. I mean, I hate to say that, but I think the fact that it's such a weird story is also
I think that's why it garnered so much attention.
It did.
Because he showed up without her in her van, and before it was national news, her followers and stuff were at the house. Where is Gabby? And this was before it got popular, before, any of us had ever heard about it. There were people outside his house where is Gabby? And that's why... by the time it really made popular news, he was already gone again.
Yeah.
It's a whole big weird... Social media is good and bad, and it's really odd.
The fact that it was TikTok and YouTube that were able to sort of pinpoint where she was found, it's almost sad because that was her life. And it's the thing that made you famous, the thing you were doing, the thing that you were trying to purvey to the public is the thing that ended up finding you when you died. Mm-hmm. Sad.
There was also a TikTok psychic, and somebody had asked her, where is Gabby Petito? And she, or is she alive? And she said no. And she pretty much had nailed where she was, so that psychic has been getting a lot of questions about missing people now.
I just hate the idea of TikTok psychics.
Well, I'm not psychic, but I was pretty sure she wasn't alive.
Yeah.
I was about to say.
Probably up in the grand
Where was the last place they were? Probably there.
Well, I was about to say, this is last I checked, I wasn't a psychic, but anybody who goes missing for several days in a national forest, or last place was to be in a national forest, they dead.
Well, that and their other person shows up 5,000 miles away without them and doesn't say a word. They ain't coming back.
Yeah, it's not psychic work. That's just
deduction.
Yeah. Maybe when to me initially I thought he's probably gone off to kill himself. Most of the time when you have stuff like this, that's what ends up happening. I'm almost completely convinced that this guy just is such a narcissist. He's probably...
That's right. That's what I was thinking. He's a narcissist.
He's gone.
I don't think he's killing himself. I think if that was his plan, he just would have done it, and they wouldn't have contacted a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if they find him dead, it's accidental or eaten by gator.
Yeah. Hope he does get eaten by a gator.
I hope he doesn't.
I kind of want to know what happened. That's my thing, though. I want to know what happened.
I want him to sit in a jail if he did this for a very long time.
I would like for his legs to get eaten by a gator and then he sit in a jail. Because that's all he can do.
I need you to just crawl your stumps back up onto shore.
Yeah, I need you to pull an Anakin and crawl back up the mountain.
No, there is no, if he gets eaten by a gator, there's no justice.
No.
That's the thing. And
there will always be unanswered questions. What happened?
And he may never answer them.
No.
And even if he doesn't, there can still be And again, people get hung up on justice as like mob justice where you just go lynch somebody, but that's not real justice.
I feel like I really wish he'd pull a Chris Watts, like when he comes back out and just blurts the story out.
You know, it's like sorry, my mind went on this journey when you said we want an answer, but we do have the answer, which is he killed her. But we don't know the why.
Well,
and as people, we want to know that why.
I mean, we're driven by the why, but we don't even, I mean, realistically.
We don't know for sure he did it.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair.
I mean, we all assume he did, and
Yeah,
there's pretty good evidence leaning towards the fact that he killed her.
But maybe they pissed somebody off, and he's being chased by that somebody.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't. Chased by the Russian mafia from Yellowstone.
Yeah,
I mean,
we just don't know.
Yeah. It's just a weird. There are weird things that happen in this world.
Or maybe they ran into like some cryptid, and he's like, nobody's ever gonna fucking believe this.
That would suck.
That would really
so
suck.
Bad. Like
Do we think that's what happened based on all the evidence of domestic abuse?
No.
Especially the fact that he came back without her, called the lawyers are involved, and then he disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah. If a cryptid had attacked me, I probably would have called the police. I'd be like, you're not going to believe this. But Gator Man did attack me.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of him. But
Sasquatch did come down from the titties and grab my wife.
Florida man's uncle.
Girlfriend. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gator Man.
Gator Man.
I mean, like, I just imagine us all at the campsite. I wake up. The cryptid bear has killed everybody. What would I say?
Well, there's nothing you can say.
Oh, yeah, Angie, you grabbed a knife and a gun and just killed everybody, and you're mysteriously fine.
That's what I think about with a lot of these no-sleep stories. I'm like, who's going to believe that a violent ghost is attacking you, and now you've, like, you...
Okay, I would believe it if somebody told me, but that's why I'm not in law enforcement. She's too gullible. Get her ass out of here.
You could be in, like, paranormal... That paranormal show where it's the officers who have, like, I wish I could remember what it's called. It's a British show. It's really funny. But, like, they have, like, this little closet that's all the paranormal investigations, but nobody wants to come hang out with everybody because they think they're the weirdos.
Well, and we do have a law enforcement specifically for that. Like, X-Files is kind of real, but who's going to believe it?
Or we have people that are supposed to go basically investigate unexplainable occurrences. Cool. We need that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that Bigfoot killed Gabby Petito.
No, absolutely not.
I'm pretty sure it was Brian Laundrie.
Yeah.
But the way I look at all this is there has to be, it's either justice for all or justice for none. We cannot mob justice him. Even if you really want to see him dead, that's cool. It needs to go through the courts. Like,
Well, the last thing that was reported recently was about his sister saying that she wasn't involved. And then that she actually was involved, like, with this whole campsite thing. And that in the newly released body cam footage for the full body cam footage is that Gabby Petito did admit that he slapped her and grabbed her by the face.
Right.
And that...
that's what I saw in 60 Minutes Australia.
Yeah.
I mean, she did tell them, and they still blamed her, like, took his side. That's why 60 Minutes Australia was like, what the fuck, America? Women and...
I feel like the world says that a lot.
Yeah.
That's normal. Florida exists. It's always a what the fuck.
If you want a good rundown, other than our fantastic episode, but go watch the 60 Minutes Australia episode. It's on YouTube.
Yep.
Actually, if you want to watch any news from here, go watch 60 Minutes Australia.
Hey, and if there's any new information when this comes out and future me doesn't know about it, hey, don't get mad because we didn't report on it.
Don't go on the YouTube and be like, you motherfuckers missed the fact that they found him, at a 7-Eleven drinking a Slurpee.
Yeah, this is like an ongoing story. Like, again, this is not like something from 30 years ago.
And we're not commenting on, like, the trail cam footage that was seen, like, 500 miles away because they confirmed that was not him.
Right.
Yeah.
So, just let that go.
Let it go. I know everybody's very interested in the story. Hey, if something comes out between now and me editing this episode, future me, go ahead, future me. Tell me what's happening. Thanks, past me. I'll take over right now. Hey, guess what? It was literally 2 days later that I edited this episode. And there is no new news other than the fact that there are some sightings of Brian Laundrie around the United States. Allegedly, some videos have come out showing that he's in different areas, but nothing new has been confirmed. So as of October 4th, yeah, that's today, nothing new is going on. So there's your update. Thanks for listening so far. Back to past me. Whoop, whoop. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, future me.
You're great. We should have an episode where we just update our stories.
Oh, that would be fun.
All of our true crime story updates.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I like it.
Yeah.
We don't really do true crime a lot, but we could always update about cryptid findings because...
Well, cryptids and true crime. There's a lot of updates. Except on the ones you want to see your updates on, like the two girls.
Yeah.
One cup.
Yeah, that one too. Like, why? Do you know that's apparently a really big thing? Like, that's just a video that we saw here, but they do it all the time there. Like,
that seems unreasonable.
Yeah, it's just. I wish I could remember the word. There's actually names for those girls, and they're very, very popular. Yeah, no, I'm good. They're popular because nobody wants to do that.
The soft serve ice cream girls?
God, I can't stand it.
You can find us on Facebook at the Free Rotation Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at the Free Rotation.
Like ice cream.
You can also find us on YouTube and
It's
Twitch
like
at the
corn
Free
in it.
Rotation.
And they vomited in each. I drew the line at the vomit.
I'm glad we had a line to draw there.
Yeah, I can watch the poop. Okay, except when she put the toilet seat over her mouth. I was
Check us
just
out
like,
at
this
Weebie Geeks. We're also on WeebieGeeksPC.com.
But the vomiting back and forth in each other's mouths was
You
disgusting.
can check us out at all of your favorite podcasting apps and not on Pornhub.
Yes, I do have a account on Pornhub.
You can find us at twogirls1bobby.com.
Oh.
He would love that.
Yes.
2 girls, 1 bubbles.
As long as they are vaguely lesbian.
They're going bobbing for Bobby's apples. Oh, no.
Hey, guess what? It's our month of spookiness.
Spoopy times.
Spooky.
We have a lot of stuff planned, so keep a lookout.
Awesome.
We do have a lot of stuff planned.
Yeah,
Just not
spooktacular.
for you, Rotation Nation.
All right, bye.
Love you.
Bye.